I want you to just, for a second, picture your to-do list.
Oh, boy.
No, not the one with, like, learn a language on it. I mean the real one, the work list.
The messy one.
The gritty, deadline-driven, migrate 5,000 customer records list. The fix that ancient bug Jeff left behind 3 years ago list.
The list that makes you just want to walk away from your computer.
Exactly, that list. Now imagine this, and it sounds a little bit like science fiction, but just go with me.
Yeah.
You log in, and you have a new employee, this employee.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they don't sleep, they don't need coffee, they don't care that the old software is ugly.
Uh-huh.
You just point them at that messy list and say, go. And they just do it. They click the buttons, they write the code, they check their own work. They even hire their own little helpers to get it done faster.
And let's be super clear. We are not talking about a human intern here.
Yeah.
This is not some scripted bot that just breaks. This is AI. And as of right now, February 2026, this isn't science fiction anymore. It's real.
It really feels like the future just arrived. Welcome back to the Deep Dive.
Today, we are unpacking a huge announcement that I think is going to change how a lot of us think about our jobs.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about the launch of Anthropic's Claude Opus 4.6 on Microsoft Foundry.
It's a really significant moment. We've been tracking AI for a while, obviously. But this announcement, and we're pulling this straight from a really detailed post on the Microsoft Azure blog, this feels like a turning point.
A turning point, how?
It's where frontier intelligence, the raw brain power of these models, finally shakes hands with enterprise trust.
And that's our mission for this deep dive. We're trying to figure out if we've finally crossed that chasm. Are we moving from AI that we just chat with to AI that we actually, employ?
Exactly.
Because the source material uses some really heavy words. Autonomy, agentic workflows.
Full life cycle development. Those words are not there by accident. They represent a fundamental shift. We're going from assistance.
It's co-pilot model. Right, the co-pilot sitting next to you. We're moving from that to autonomy, where the AI is the agent doing the work for you. And this is the huge but here, autonomy without control is just chaos.
You can't just let it run wild in a corporate network.
You can't. And that is where Microsoft Foundry comes in.
Okay, let's break this down. I want to start with the brains of it, especially for the developers listening. Opus 4.6 is being called a coding powerhouse. We've heard that before, though. What makes this full life cycle thing different?
It's all about scope. I mean, think about how we've used AI for coding until now. It's been mostly snippets, right?
Yeah, write me a function for this or explain this error.
10 lines of code. Super useful, absolutely. But this changes the scope entirely. We're talking about long-running tasks.
The source mentioned things like refactoring huge code bases. That's not a 10-second job.
No, that's a 3-day headache, at least. It's the difference between writing a sentence and writing a novel. AI was good at sentences. Now it can handle the novel.
From the first idea all the way to maintenance.
All the way. And there's a key technical spec that makes this possible. 128,000 output tokens.
Okay, we hear about tokens a lot. For anyone who's not deep in this stuff, why is 128K a big deal?
It is massive. Think of output tokens as how much the AI can say in one go before it has to stop. Older models, they top out at like 4,000 tokens, maybe. That's a blog post. With 128,000, the model can generate huge, comprehensive code files. Entire software modules in a single response without, losing its train of thought.
So it's not just writing the headline anymore, it's writing the whole newspaper.
Perfect analogy. And because it can talk for longer, it can solve much harder problems. The blog post points to a company called Microsoft.
Oh, right, I saw that. They're using it for AI code review.
They are. Now think about the implication there. Code review is vital, but it is so tedious.
It's a bottleneck.
It is. You have your most expensive senior engineers spending hours hunting for tiny errors in junior developers' code.
Soul-crushing stuff sometimes. You just want to build, but you're stuck cleaning up.
Exactly. So Microsoft is using Opus 4.6 to automate that deep scan. The AI finds the critical bugs. But here's the human part. The source says this lets senior engineers delegate work that used to take days.
So instead of a person spending 3 days on a memory leak, they just tell Claude to do it.
Yes, and they compress that timeline into hours. The senior engineer gets to focus on architecture, on the big picture, while the AI handles the nitty-gritty implementation.
That's a massive productivity unlock.
Right.
But there's always a catch, right? The AI might be smart enough to write code, but can actually use the clunky old systems that run everything.
And you just hit on the ivory tower problem. AI has always been trapped in a chat box. If you wanted it to do something, the software needed an API, a special door for computers.
But the world runs on legacy systems, those ugly internal tools from 2010 with no APIs.
Exactly. And that brings us to the second, and I think the most sci-fi part of this whole thing, computer use.
This part just blew my mind. The blog post says Opus 4.6 can use a computer like a human. It can look at a screen.
Yes. It has strong visual understanding. It can look at a screenshot, find the submit button, identify a text field, and actually use a cursor to click and type.
That closes such a huge gap. You don't have to rebuild everything just to let the AI in.
Correct. It can navigate forms, move data between apps, and deal with those old systems. And this leads to something they call agentic workflows. The source says the AI can proactively spin up sub-agents.
That sounded wild to me. Sub-agents, like it's hiring its own team.
In a digital sense, yeah. Think of it like a general contractor. You don't tell the contractor, hit this nail, you say, build me a deck.
And they figure out they need a carpenter, a painter, all that.
Right. Opus 4.6 is the contractor. You give it a big goal, like update the customer database from these 1,000 PDFs. It makes a to-do list.
Right.
It realizes, okay, I need one agent to read the PDFs, another to format the data, and a third to actually click the buttons in the database. It manages all of that with minimal oversight.
So you're not managing the task anymore. You're managing the manager.
That is the shift. And to prove it works, the source mentions Momentic AI. They're processing millions of tokens an hour using these agents.
Oh.
And they need Azure's infrastructure because if you have an agent clicking buttons for 4 hours, it absolutely cannot crash halfway through.
Which brings us to the trust factor.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I've got an AI clicking around accessing my files, I need to know it's not going to accidentally email my secrets to a competitor.
And this is the enterprise trust pillar. Frankly, it's why this Anthropic and Microsoft partnership is the real headline. Being super smart is dangerous if it's not contained.
It's like hiring a genius who, refuses to sign an NDA and leaves the front door unlocked.
A colorful but pretty accurate analogy. Microsoft Foundry is the security wrapper. It's the adult in the room. The source mentions something called Foundry IQ.
Right, the connector.
It is. Foundry IQ lets the model access your data, your M365 emails, Word docs, all of it, but within the secure perimeter of your company. It respects that trust boundary.
So it can read my work email to do its job, but that data never leaves to train the public model.
Correct. That's the non-negotiable for any big company. And you have to look at the examples they used. They mentioned Dentons.
The massive law firm.
The largest in the world. Law firms are maybe the most risk-averse places on earth. One mistake, one data leak, it's a catastrophe. And Dentons is using this for drafting and research.
The source said the big benefit was consistency.
Right. It lets the lawyers focus on higher value judgment. The AI does the grunt work of the first draft, so the human can do the strategy. But if Dentons is the test for precision, the next example, Everstar, is the test for safety.
Oh, the nuclear energy company.
Yeah.
I'll admit, seeing nuclear and AI in the same sentence made me a little nervous.
As it should, but think what that means. The CEO is quoted saying they use it for fast, safe nuclear energy deployments. They need deep reasoning to find subtle patterns in engineering data.
That's a really good point. If Foundry is secure enough for nuclear energy workflows, it's probably okay for my quarterly marketing report.
You would hope so. It's a flex. It's a signal saying we've solved reliability to the point where critical infrastructure is buying in.
Okay, let's peek under the hood a bit. We're talking about these agents running for hours, managing other agents. How does the AI not, get tired?
Yeah.
Or confused?
Right, or just bankrupt you by thinking too hard about a simple problem.
Yeah.
So this is where the new API features are pretty clever. The first is called adaptive thinking.
That sounds almost human. What's it adapting to?
Its own reasoning effort. Think about how you work. If I ask you what's 2 + 2, you just know. You don't really think. It's automatic.
System 1 thinking. Low effort.
Exactly. But if I ask you to design a supply chain for a Mars colony, you pause. You ponder. That's system 2.
And AI didn't really distinguish before, did it?
Generally, no. It treated every problem with about the same amount of effort. Adaptive thinking lets Claude decide. It thinks fast for simple stuff, saving time and money, and thinks hard for the complex stuff.
That's just smart. It's an energy-saving mode for its brain.
And you can control it. There are new max effort settings, high, medium, low, so you can tell it, hey, this is a tough one, take your time.
And there was another one that seemed to address the getting confused issue. context compaction.
Ah, yeah. This is fascinating. So if we talked for 10 hours, by hour 9, you've probably forgotten the exact words I used in minute 5.
I've probably forgotten what we were talking about by hour 9.
Well, AI has a context window, a limit on its memory. Usually the old stuff just falls off. Context compaction is a beta feature where the AI automatically summarizes the older parts of the conversation.
So it takes notes on the past to make room for the future.
Basically, yeah. It compresses the old, info zips the file, so to speak, so it can keep the conversation going without hitting a memory wall. It's what allows for those really long-running workflows.
That makes sense. And speaking of memory, the source dropped a number that it made my eyes pop. A 1 million token context window.
It's a staggering number. 1 million tokens is like hundreds of books.
So you could feed it an entire library of technical documents, and it just holds it all in its head.
Yes. It allows for what they call holistic reasoning. It can connect an idea on page 5 with something on page 5,000.
Yeah.
Now, the source notes premium pricing kicks in after 200K tokens, so it's not for everyday chat.
But for massive enterprise data analysis, the capability is there.
It's there.
So if we step back and look at the whole picture, we have this powerhouse model. It can code, it can use a computer, it's trusted with legal and nuclear data, and it can manage its own brain power. The blog post said it's a move from assistance to autonomy.
That is the core takeaway. For the last few years, we've been in the age of the co-pilot. The AI is next to you. It helps. But you're the pilot.
Right. And now
we're entering the era of the agent. You delegate. The AI does the work. You check the results. It's a fundamental change in the human-machine relationship. And Foundry provides the safety and governance to make that okay for a business.
it really changes the definition of work, doesn't it?
Yeah.
If I can just say, here's the goal, go hire the sub-agents you need and get it done, my job becomes less about doing and more about directing.
It does. But we have to remember the lesson from Dentons and Everstar. Intelligence is useless without trust.
Mm-hmm.
You could have the smartest agent in the world, but if you can't audit it, if you can't guarantee it's secure, you can't use it. That's why the marriage of Anthropic's intelligence and Microsoft's platform is the real story.
The mad scientist shaking hands with the safety inspector.
A very good way to put it, yes.
So as we wrap up, here's something I want to leave you with to think about. We talked about adaptive thinking, the AI deciding how much effort to use. And we talked about agentic workflows, the AI spinning up its own team.
I think I see where this is going.
At what point does the AI stop being a tool and start becoming a manager? If it's allocating resources, managing sub-agents, deciding how much brain power a task deserves, are our current org charts ready for that?
That's the billion-dollar question, isn't it? When the software starts doing middle management, what happens to the middle managers?
Something to mull over. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
My pleasure.
We'll see you next time.